Tired of your old kitchen or bathroom? Upgrade to the home of your dreams with Manny and Courtney from CMK Construction. CMK Construction is Tampa's award-winning kitchen and bath leader for over 20 years. Right now, save $3,000 on a new kitchen and $2,000 on a new bathroom. And take advantage of our no money down and no interest financing until 2026. Imagine, design, build. Tired of your old kitchen or bathroom? Upgrade to the home of your dreams with Manny and Courtney from CMK Construction. CMK Construction is Tampa's award-winning kitchen and bath leader for over 20 years. Right now, save $3,000 on a new kitchen and $2,000 on a new bathroom. And take advantage of our no money down and no interest financing until 2026. Imagine, design, build.
All right, I think we're hot. So obviously, I've already messed it up. This is my first Dennis Phillips live here. I'm in for Dennis Phillips tonight. My name is Jason Adams. For those of you that do not know me, I work with Dennis. For the last 8 years now, I've been here at ABC Action News, and I finally figured out that I did not do it right. So way to go. First time, we're off to a great start. So I think I've got the double screen up right now. What you guys should be seeing is me on the left and then the radar on the right. And I think we are good to go. Yeah, Sean says, not a good start, Jason. I know. I've been off for the last month, and I didn't get a chance to train with Dennis on this. And I asked him, I was like, is there any way to go around and get around this? And he said, you got to do it, bud. So here I am. All right, we're going to make it work. So anyway, I am Jason Adams. I work weekends here at ABC Action News, Tampa Bay 28. And of course, the name change also happened when I was off, so I'm still working on not saying what our old station name used to be. But we're going to get through this. We're going to make it happen. And you guys let me know if there's anything in particular that you want me to talk about here for the next half hour. I'm going to talk just about a few things. We've got weather, obviously, that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the tropics that right now It's amazing out there, and let's keep our fingers crossed that that continues to be the case and does not change for us. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about, unfortunately, there was an individual that passed away from one of the strong currents on Anna Maria Island at Bean Point. If you've been following our news, or if you were watching our news here on your Labor Day, we did have that story earlier today with Robert Boyd down there. We're going to talk a little bit about the passes and the dangers with the currents within the passes. If you follow me on Instagram, you know my love for the beach and all things beaches. I love the weather first and foremost, and then my second passion is the beach. And Anna Maria Island, Bean Point, it's one of my favorite spots, and unfortunately it's also a very dangerous spot with currents. So we're going to talk about that as well coming up here over the next half hour. So good evening. I think we've got everybody on now. Mary says Facebook's good. Dominique, thank you for confirming that I am on the left. I think we're good to go now. So honestly, I'm going to play around with this because the best way to dive into a new experience is you just do that. You just dive into it, right? Forget the training, just dive into it and see how it goes. So let me just play with a couple of things. I'm going to clear this out and I'm going to attempt to put the tropics map up here to see if I can get that to work. So let's clear it out. We're going to, Dennis said, clear, clear, clear. Click on what you want and then hit this guy. And it's not working. So let's try the other one. We're going to hit me and the internet. And we're gonna, that's in preview now, so I think we're good there. So you guys should be seeing now the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf, and the Caribbean map up as well. So just confirm for me that that is the case because again, this is my first DPL. Actually, I lied. This is my second DPL, but the last one that I did was at 2 in the morning. And it was during Hurricane Debbie, when Hurricane Debbie was rolling by and we had all that flooding. It was Debbie or Helene. I can't remember which one it was because it was all a blur last September and October. But yeah, we were definitely talking about a lot of things that I didn't have to do the buttons with because there was so much activity out there that's what we were working with. So all right, here we go. So yes, let's talk about what's going on out there weather-wise right now. So I think I've got the system figured out here. So let's clear this out. We are going to throw our graphics up for you. Clear, 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 clear. Let's go WSI. I want to do that, but for whatever reason, it's not working for me. So again, I'm going to have to do some training with Dennis and see why this isn't doing what I want to do. But anyway, I've got the double box up there now. I'm just going to stay with the double box and I'm going to move left and right. We're going to go from there. So yes, we've got the radar out there tonight. What you're seeing out there on the radar is we've got this area to the east of our Florida coast. It's over on the east coast. It's a low pressure, but the good news is it is a non-tropical low pressure system. But the circulation around it has really changed up our rainy season pattern. Yes, September is still quite a bit well into the rainy season. It's not until the middle of October that we really start to taper the rainy season down. So usually this time of year we get those strong afternoon and evening storms, but that's just not been the case because of this area of low pressure that is out to our east over toward the east coast of Florida. So the circulation around it bringing in a few spotty showers here today. I think the strongest activity that I saw was in Sarasota County earlier. We had some heavier storms from Lakewood Ranch all the way down to Siesta Key and down to even just north of Venice and Nokomis near Laurel. We had a little bit of rain, but that's really about it. So it's a really quiet weather pattern, and looking ahead to the next couple of days, I really don't see anything changing with that at this point. So here's Futurecast for tomorrow. If you're trying to figure out how it looks for back to work after the holiday weekend, looks great. You're not going to have any issues out there. The morning commute looks dry. The afternoon commute, very similar to today, where yes, we'll see some rain, but it is a very spotty risk of rainfall out there. I'm not expecting it to be any kind of a significant widespread rain threat for us tomorrow. It'll be similar to today, but I do feel that we are looking at, of course, a little bit more in the way of some scattered rain activity. Ellen, thank you. Yes, I do have the brakes down, and Dennis said it is one button that I have to push. So I can't mess that up, right? I can't not mess that up. So yes, thank you for that. Yes, Mary, doing the commercial brakes, he said to hit about 39, 45, and 51. So I'll do that here. So for the next 2 minutes, I'll do the weather part of DPL. And again, what we're looking at here over the next couple of days, pretty much a very standard forecast for us for this time of year. A little bit of rain, temperature still into the 90s. Our average highs here in the beginning of September still around 90 to 92. So that's why we're definitely hanging out here with a pretty typical forecast for us. But by the end of the week, just like we're seeing that kind of reduction in rain chances today and tomorrow, if you were with me yesterday on Good Morning Tampa Bay during the morning hours, we talked about the big rain that was coming in off the Gulf. That was great. It kept our temperatures down below 90 degrees. But that was it for the more widespread rain threat that we have here in the forecast for the next week. The next best chance of rain sets up Thursday for us, but it's still fairly scattered. And then drier air makes a return once again like we have out there today. So by the upcoming weekend, it looks really good. We're actually going to have a decent weekend for us in September with not a washout, not those strong afternoon storms, 1 or 2 storms possible. And it looks like that's going to be the best bet for us as we go to it. So let's see. Dean wants to know when we can expect a real cool front. Probably mid to late October at the earliest. Sometimes it's not until the 1st or 2nd week of November. We'll just have to wait and see how it goes. But hopefully we are talking about definitely getting one maybe a little bit sooner for us. Of course, last year after Milton, we did get one behind Milton. We certainly don't want that to be our way that we get another cold front in here. But yes, that's what we're going to be looking at here. Hopefully by mid-October at the latest. Let's see. Todd says I'm missing the band button. Uh-oh. I don't see it. I did have to fuss at someone on my Facebook page earlier because as meteorologists, our job is to post the weather to our social media accounts, and people get mad when I post the weather, saying that I'm trying to hype by talking about this tropical disturbance in the Atlantic, and I'm like, oh, yes, a meteorologist posting about weather. How could you? How dare you? So anywho, that guy will hopefully be banned here on my page in a little bit. But yes, all right, so that's what we're doing here for now. Coming up on 7:39, I'm going to hit the commercial break button and see if this works. Of course, you know the drill. If you're on the spot Tampa Bay, we're going to go to commercial. If you're with me on streaming, you're still sticking around. So let's see if this works. All right. 3, 2, 1. I believe we're in commercial break on the spot Tampa Bay. So, all right, there we go. First break done. Well, that will count me down now to, yes, it shows that the break is up in 1 minute and 15 seconds. That seems short. I thought it was 2.5 minutes, but my countdown clock over there says now it's 1 minute. Again, this is all new for me, so we're just going to wing it, and we are going to hope for the best. Sean says it's back behind the Weather Center in a drawer. Uh-oh, I might have to sneak back there during one of the commercial breaks. All right, so anywho, that's what our forecast is looking like. Derek's out here because, of course, that doesn't sound right to you, does it, Derek? Or are you going to help me out with the band button? Derek's going to help me try and find the band button. You guys have been pretty good so far. Thank you for being kind, even though I have already messed this up at the top of Dennis Phillips Live with that right off the top of the show. So anywho, I think we're good to go. All right, looks like commercial break is coming up in another 30 seconds or so. If there's anything that you guys want to talk to me about, let me know. Kevin, you are confirming that it is 90 seconds. Thank you. I thought it was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but we're good to go. Any luck, Derek? All right, unfortunately, not there. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the tropics. So let me go ahead and get this map up and ready for you guys to go as we're getting ready to come out of the break here in 5 seconds. So stand by, Facebook. All right, everybody, welcome back. If you are watching us on the spot Tampa Bay, thanks for hanging out with me. I'm meteorologist Jason Adams, in for Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips tonight. It is my first Dennis Phillips Live since we have switched from ABC Action News to Tampa Bay 28. By the way, what do you guys think of the new logo? I love how we put the Skyway as our logo now here at Tampa Bay 28. It doesn't say more Tampa Bay than the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, right? All right, let's talk about the tropics. That's next up for us here before our next commercial break. It is so quiet out there right now, and I cannot remember, especially since I've been back here in Tampa, which I got back here in Tampa in 2017, a Labor Day where we weren't talking about something out there, a name system, a hurricane, something in the Caribbean, maybe even the Gulf. That's not happening for us right now. Nobody is complaining about that. And if you are complaining, get out of Florida because we don't want you here if you're complaining about the tropics not being any kind of craziness going on. So let's start here close to home. You should be seeing, yep, you've got the map up on the right. I'm on the left, the Gulf. We do have the stationary front that's been giving us the scattered rain today. It does extend out far west into the Gulf, but occasionally we can get some spin on stationary fronts, but that usually happens in the beginning of hurricane season. So we're talking about June, July. Sometimes fronts can get into the Gulf and they can spin up something. You don't really often see that here in September and late August and early September. So we're not concerned about that spinning up anything at this point right now. The Caribbean, my goodness, when you see the Western Caribbean in September with barely a cloud out there, you are rejoicing, that is for sure. So the next thing up just rolled in off of Africa. If you were with me this weekend on ABC Action News on Tampa Bay 28, I did it again. We were watching this wave coming in off of Africa. It is now just to the south of the Cape Verde Islands, which means if it were to impact the United States, which is a massive if because right now I don't think it will. It's too early to know for sure, but it wouldn't be for another 10 to 14 days. So why do we have to talk about this and worry everybody? Well, that's not what we're doing. as a meteorologist, we have to tell you when there's things out there, and that's what the National Hurricane Center is watching. So, yeah, we've got 50% chance over the next 7 days that this could become a depression or a next named storm. Next name on the list is Gabrielle, followed by Umberto. And then the I-named storm after that. We're just not even going to go there, but if you are a longtime Floridian, you know I-named storms and us are not friends. So there we go. We're looking at tropics right now being beautifully clear, beautifully quiet. And of course, we've had Aaron and Fernand the last couple of weeks. Aaron was that very strong hurricane. Fernand, not much with it. I believe it only maxed out at a tropical storm. So there's a list: Gabrielle, Umberto, and Imelda, followed by Jerry and Karen. Over the weekend, I teased some of you Karens out there. We love you. You just have to say when you have a Karen, you hope the Karen hurricane doesn't ask for the store manager, right? Anywho, I tease. I love you Karens. But yes, Karen is on the list this year. There's never been a Jason on the list, which I think I'm okay about that. I don't want to be a meteorologist, Jason Adams, tracking a hurricane Jason. So we're looking pretty good there, guys. Everybody's telling me not to say the Q word. My bad, Mike. I apologize. I know that Dennis says it quite often as well, and you guys give him stuff for it as well. So definitely hopeful that I just didn't jinx us with the Q word. I do not have Diet Dr. Pepper. Actually, so Dennis is the Diet Dr. Pepper guy, Ren. I am the Dr. Pepper guy, but during our newscasts, I try and stick with just water, and I'm not supposed to be showing products for commercial purposes. You can probably tell what this is if you drink these as well. It is black cherry, and this is my go-to. It's carbonated sparkling water. So this is my go-to during the shows, but of course here at dinner time coming up at 8 o'clock, I will be grabbing that Dr. Pepper. That is for sure. So yes, thank you, Cheryl. Weatherman actually talking about the weather. That's what I'm here for. I don't know why people are mad at me on Facebook for talking about the weather, but such is life. By the way, before we get to our next commercial break, many of you know too, if you've been following me here for 8 years, that I am a Florida State grad, and oh my goodness, I came into yesterday at the TV station at 3:30, and I was like, I'm not watching this game. Why am I going to put myself through this after our disgusting 2-10 season last year, right? Worst season ever. Halftime, I was like, somebody came in here and they're like, hey, you're watching the game? No. Why am I going to watch the game? Why am I going to watch Alabama destroy Florida State? They were like, you might want to check it, and it was 17-7, and I was like, 17 Alabama, right? And they're like, no, you guys. And then, of course, we all know what happens from here. So, yeah, definitely want to talk about that as well. If you are a Florida State guy or gal, let me know your thoughts on that, because I was completely shocked. You always have faith in your team no matter what, but after last season, it was really hard to have faith in our team. Yes, RJ, I can't repeat what you said, but you are correct, my man. Judith, FSU rocking this year, 100%. It was a great game, and I feel like Alabama just had a hiccup. I don't think they're going away anytime soon, but yes, that is what I have to feel with the Florida State thing. So hopefully this means good things for FSU this year. By the way, you Gator fans, of course you didn't play, I think it was Long Island. I didn't even know Long Island was a college. Gators won, I think it's 55-0 or something like that. So good game for the Gators. And of course USF, home opener, season opener was amazing. That was awesome to see USF as well. UCF, I think they played too. I can't remember if UCF won. But it seems like it was a pretty good weekend for Florida schools, and go Noles. All right, I'm being told commercial break number 2. Mary, you're on it. Thank you, Mary. You are saving me. Commercial break number 2 coming up. We'll be right back if you're watching on the spot, Tampa Bay. All right, 90-second countdown like Mary said. Correct. All right. I think we're doing okay. You guys tell me, and you can tell me if I suck or not. I'm not going to be offended, because I've been told worse as a TV weatherman in my 17 years of doing this. Looks pretty good out there with, so far everybody's comments are really good. So thank you guys for that. All right, next thing we're going to talk about, and I'll get this ready, and kind of how we'll wrap up the show. And forgive me, while I'm on streaming and not on TV, my nose seems to be running right now. So sorry about that. Again, there's like Dennis says, this is live as live can get, right? So there's no editing here when you're live. Okay, so let's get back to what we're going to talk about next. And of course, unfortunately, we had the person that was killed by the currents in Anna Maria Island. So even if you're a familiar Floridian with our water, I want to spend some time on this, because there's confusion between rip currents and the currents that happen in our passes. And if you're a fisherman or woman, you know exactly what I'm talking about with these currents that go in and out with high tide. And I feel like that is something we're talking about. I'm not saying that was the situation that unfortunately led to this man losing his life, but it is something that I have experienced in all the pass areas that I've been at. And it's I don't think people are aware of how strong the currents can get in between passes. So we are coming back 9 seconds. All right, sounds good. So hang out for just a second, and we will pick it up in 2, 1. All right, thank you for joining us here on Tampa Bay, the spot Tampa Bay, as we are Dennis Phillips living it, but it's Jason Adams live tonight. Dennis is enjoying his Labor Day off. Unfortunately, we got to talk about rip currents. That's one thing I did want to touch on. The rip current issue that we have here, and what we're so familiar with, is when we get wave action that builds up at the coast. So when you have high waves, all that water pushes up against the coast, but it's continuing to be pushed up against the coast. It's not allowed to come back because the additional waves coming in, and you get a bulge of water that piles up at the beach. At some point, gravity wins, and that slope is going to push that water back out, and it finds the path of least resistance, which usually tends to be a break in a sandbar or something like that. So this map that you're seeing here on the right, that's what you're looking at. You see how that area kind of fades away where you have all the white caps from the waves, and you have that dull spot, then you have white caps on the other side. That's how you can identify a rip current on our coastal areas, on all of our beaches. If you see something like that, that's an area where the current is going the opposite direction of the shore. Of course, you know what to do. Everybody knows what to do. We tell you not to panic. You want to definitely don't panic, number one. And number two, the way you escape a rip current is you get out of that current by swimming parallel to the coast. Once you feel that you're not being pulled out anymore, that's when you can come back in. You don't want to try and paddle against that current because you're just wasting energy, and that's going to weaken you. It's going to probably lead to not a good result. So that's the rip currents that we're used to. Now, what happened today or yesterday, I think has to do more so with passes. Now, in all of our barrier islands, and of course the mouth of Tampa Bay, this is a zoomed in shot of Anna Maria Island, Egmont Key, and Fort DeSoto. You can see the Skyway Bridge to the right. What happens is that we have high tide and low tide, and every time the tide leads up to that high tide point, water comes into our passes. Every time the tide goes to low tide, the water goes out of the passes and back into the Gulf. When you get into between these passes, when you have a garden hose and the water's coming out of the garden hose and you put your thumb over it and the water accelerates rapidly, it's the same kind of a concept when you're talking about the water moving in and out of passes. You have all this Gulf water coming in, and it's squeezed into a very small point between Egmont Key and also Anna Maria Island. When you push this water, you push that same amount of volume of water in a much smaller space, it accelerates. That's just physics 101 when it comes to the atmosphere, to physics. You also see this in high-rise buildings during hurricanes, that the hurricanes, when the wind's blowing through like New York City, if it gets squeezed between those skyline buildings, the winds accelerate through those buildings because all that volume, same amount of volume going into a much smaller space, the next step is for it to accelerate. So that's what happens during high tide and low tide in our passes. High tide, say it's at 12:30, the water's coming into the Gulf, or coming in from the Gulf into Tampa Bay until 12:30 when we get to that high tide. All that water being squeezed into that smaller area in the pass causes the water to accelerate into Tampa Bay. When the tide is going out, say it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you hit low tide. All that water in Tampa Bay is now being squeezed out between the passes between Fort DeSoto, Egmont, and Anna Maria, and it causes it to accelerate out there. So unfortunately, that could have been what was the situation there. Again, I don't know if this is the exact reason how this person lost their life, but I do feel with the amount of times that I've been in Anna Maria Island, and you guys, if you follow me on Instagram, the Florida Beach Bum, you know I'm out there at Bean Point all the time, and it is extremely one of those spots that could be very, very dangerous if you don't know much about that area. So let me see if I can do one more thing here. See if this will pull this up for me. I want to try and pull up my Instagram account for you so you can see it. But like I said, these buttons are not acting the way that Dennis said they would. So I don't think it's going to happen. Anywho, if you go to the Instagram, if you're on Instagram, the Florida Beach Bum is my account. That is where you can find all things beach from me. I post more about the beach there than anything else. And it's great that the station allows me to do that because that's one of the accounts that they're like, post some weather occasionally, but no, you're a beach guy. We love that about you. That's like your personality here outside of being a TV weatherman. So we love that. That's what we want you to post on those accounts. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go to the break number 3 because Alicia, thank you. You reminded me. I would have just kept talking. We're going to go to break number 3. And I'm going to push that here, and then when I come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Instagram, what you can find on me there, and then I think we're going to wrap up my first DPL with Tampa Bay 28, and we'll see how it goes from here. All right, be right back. All right, countdown's working. Yes, Julie, the buttons are misbehaving. Let me try one more time. He said hit clear 50,000 times if it doesn't work. So I'm hitting clear. Now I hit, there we go. Now the social media one came up. So let's throw that one up. There we go. And before we get to Instagram, I'll talk one more little bit here on streaming about the model showing what's going to happen with this possible Gabrielle. This is the European ensemble models. I know Dennis talks a lot about how we like the ensembles versus a single individual model forecast run, because one individual run, somebody sees it's a Cat 4 coming into Tampa, they post it, they get 1 billion likes and clicks. We don't do that here at ABC Action News. We look at the ensembles, which are all kinds of different variables of different sects of the European model, and it gives us those individual runs. And that gives a much more clear picture about not necessarily a landfall point, but it gives us the uncertainty. How much uncertainty is with this possible track of a system that hasn't even developed yet? So that's what you're seeing on your screen right now, is the European model with that system coming in off of the coast of Africa. That's showing that it is going to move to the Atlantic, through the Atlantic toward the west, but possibly going in a very similar route to what we had with Aaron, which makes a hard right turn once it gets somewhere north of the Leeward Islands, north of Puerto Rico. That would be a best case scenario for us. The hope is that if it does take that north turn, it would avoid Bermuda. All right, coming back on the spot. All right, welcome back to Denis Phillips Live. I'm meteorologist Jason Adams in for Denis Phillips. Tonight we are looking at the European model. I did want to briefly touch on this. I forgot to when I was talking about the tropics. Notice that the model off of Africa shows all those squiggly lines and an eventual turn north. That's what the hope is that we are definitely going to see some turn to the north before this system gets to us here in the United States. I also wanted to pull up on social media is my Instagram account. So again, the Florida Beach Bum is where you can find me here. That is where I post all things beach, all things about what I love about Florida. So if you scroll through it, I'll scroll through it. Of course, I've got some football stuff here as well, and some of my colleagues with me doing some work. But yes, beach, 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 beach. And again, I post this because with the issue that happened with the person that lost their life, I do absolutely have a lot of places that I go that I can hopefully help you guys out and navigate if you have any questions about what it would look like for your family. Is it a safe place to swim? Is it not a safe place to swim? Those are some of the answers that I can hopefully give you. So feel free to DM me. My DMs are open on Instagram. Feel free to DM me there, and I will be more than happy to tell you if it's safe for families, if it's more for experience, great places that you can launch your paddleboard or your kayak. Because again, I love the weather, but I really, really love living on the Gulf Coast, right? We live in absolutely one of the best places ever. Oh, Christopher, I would totally ban you if I had that ban button. Who kidnapped the real weather guy? I'm sorry I'm not Dennis. I'm sorry my 17 years as a weatherman isn't good enough for you, but he's on break tonight. The chief deserves a break, so that's why I'm here for him. So anyway, banned. You're banned, Chris. I don't know how to ban you, but you're banned. Anyway, so yes, that is that. Ryan, absolutely. We have the best beaches in the world, best beaches in America, hands down. That is it. So we are coming up on the end of Denis Phillips Live, according to my very sophisticated sciencey notes here. 7:57 is the time that I'm done, 7:57:58. So I've got about 3 minutes left with you guys. And then that's it for the Spot Tampa Bay. I'll continue on streaming for just a couple of more minutes, and then I will leave it to you guys to enjoy the rest of your Labor Day. So hopefully I didn't botch this too bad for you. Hopefully you don't tell Dennis to not take me back on Denis Phillips Live. I mean, he doesn't have a choice when he's off and I'm in. I got to do it for him. All right, Linda, thank you. Mary, I will chit-chat with you guys here for a little bit. Yeah, I know, time flies by. I was so nervous about this because it was my first DPL. And it's already over. It's already pretty much over. So hopefully, again, I gave you your forecast, what you need to know about the rest of the week as you get back to work. Ooh, Julie, good question. Will UNC win? I'm going to say yes. I think they will win. It'll be interesting to see the Belichick effect, though, and how he brings his years with the Patriots to UNC. That would be something that we'd have to watch, too, as well. So, yes, big game tonight. Nancy, Instagram handle is the Florida Beach Bum. You can also find me on Facebook, too. I'm meteorologist Jason Adams, and I'm on X, Jason Adams, WFTS, if you guys want to follow me there as well. But, yes, Dennis will be back tomorrow night, I believe. I don't think he took more than just a day off for the holiday. And I think that's it. Awesome. Okay, I feel a lot better now. I was really, really nervous coming into this. And because also Dennis has, what, 8 billion people on his Facebook page. My audience is not that high on Facebook. I think I've got about 1.27 billion to catch up, or billion to catch up to Dennis. But yeah, we are grateful that you guys follow our team here, of course, in the heart of hurricane season. We try our best to be our best when the weather is at its worst. So enjoy this period of quiet weather that we have right now, because as long as we are in the quiet, You won't be seeing Dennis's face plastered on your TV 24/7 here, and mine either. Not that we don't love that, but yes, we don't love that if it's covering a hurricane. And by the way, some of you are saying about the hurricanes, like, oh, I'm hyping about it or whatever. My house still isn't fixed from last year, and I had more than $50,000 in damage to my house. So trust me, the last thing I want to do is hype anything about any kind of a hurricane season. All right, guys, that is it for me here on Tampa Bay, the Spot Tampa Bay. Thank you for joining me here tonight for this